Hey, good morning. Welcome to Down Earth Astrology and Prom Girl Wellness. I am Miss Jenny, and I am your astrologer. Okay, so this is a really quick, off-the-cuff examination of the upcoming 29-degree eclipse, which I've been avoiding. Sorry. But this is really exciting. Really exciting. We've got some real tips here for how you can apply this to your personal chart. So the first thing is this eclipse can be a little confusing or deceptive depending on how versed you are in astrology. Because the eclipse, while it's happening at 29 Aries, it's simultaneously making an out of sign square to Pluto at 0 Aquarius. So it is deceptive or confusing because it's not as obvious, right? If it were at 0 Taurus, we would instantly see that it's squaring Pluto. Or if Pluto was still at 29 Cap, we would instantly see that there's a square involved. But because it's an out of sign aspect, it's a little deceiving. And it's a little bit more complicated in terms of understanding what's happening. But here's the good stuff. So the first thing is with the 29 Aries eclipse, one of the things that we may want to consider, and certainly your mileage may vary, is that the old guard is literally in the last death knell throes, roar, roar, like a dinosaur flailing as it's dying. I know, such imagery, as we speak. So for those of you who are conspiracy theorists, and you know I'm not one, but I'm just putting this out there. For those of you who are conspiracy theorists, if you are looking for evidence, like actually living through the times, evidence of a new world order forming, this is it. This is it. Because this 29 Aries eclipse squaring that Pluto, which is already ahead of it into the next sign, indicates, remember these words, a tipping point. So we know in life, when it comes to situations and circumstances, a tipping point typically means that something has reached critical mass, and it literally is going to be like the poof, like gentle, like burst of air that literally knocks it all over and starts a whole new thing, completely changes the playing field, right? The thing to remember, though, is when we talk about tipping points, is tipping points do not occur unless the groundwork has been laid already for this tipping point to fall into a whole new established set of circumstances waiting to happen. Now, for those of us who live in the US and have ovaries, or have people in our lives that we care about that have ovaries, now or in the future, this is a pretty scary statement to make, because this week, as this eclipse is coming down, we're also waiting to hear from Supreme Court, with the freaking Handmaid's Tale, Amy Coney Barrett, the drunk frat boy, what's his face? I can't even say his name. He's so stupid. And of course, Clarence, I'm completely delusional about who I am, and I'm married to a racist, Thomas. And Alito, who's so in love with himself and all of his white, male, old-fashioned privilege that has nothing to do with respecting women or honoring them. And the whole kit and caboodle of evangelistic leaning Supreme Court judges that were implanted as part of a much bigger plan. Don't you kid yourself. This was no accident. This is how you do generational planning. Anyway, they're about to make the decision about birth control pill access, right? And birth control. And the thing that's critical and important to understand is that, one, if you haven't been paying attention until now, you should have been, because this is serious. And the reason is this eclipse, the way this is configured with this 29 Aries squaring Pluto already in the next sign, the tipping point is here. And whatever gets set into place, because as soon as this eclipse moves out and moves into Taurus, it's done. Game over. Game over. Because at that point, everything will be fixed and locked into place for generations. I mean, this literally, you could get out of quicksand easier than you're going to get out of whatever is set up after this tipping point occurs. And that, my friends, is how you end up living in a new world order. Now, whether that new world order is something that you want to be a part of or not, I suppose has a lot to do with whether you're on Team Hateful. Take us back to those good old 1800s, or you're on Team Progress and Evolution. I mean, we'll see. We'll see. I can't, and I won't, because my heart is in a very specific place, and there's only one answer that's acceptable to me. So I can't make clear, objective assessments about how this might go. So visualize, if you have ever said that you believe that your mind creates realities and thoughts create reality and positive thing, all this happy metaphysical horse hoo-ha, right? You know who you are. It's all of us. All of us. If you've ever said that, now's the time to put your money where your mouth is and start visualizing an outcome that protects and supports living women with breath and pulse, not imaginary babies that haven't even been born yet. Oh my God, because this is the tipping point. This is the tip of the iceberg. Whatever happens, this is literally going to set up everything moving forward that we're not going to get out of or away from. And that's here in the US. For those of you living elsewhere, I don't know what's going on in your countries in terms of policy and major change and the people at large, but this is same feeling, same energy. We're at the tipping point, and literally just a gentle burst of air like you're blowing on a baby's belly is all it's going to take to push us right into the next playing field of evolution that we're not going to get out of for generations. So put your mind where it needs to be to change the direction we're going in, so we're going to a better place, or not. And don't complain because you weren't paying attention, you didn't participate in a better outcome. So there's that. Whoo, boy, exciting, right? Oh my God. Here's the good news though. This eclipse, this new moon eclipse in Aries, 29 Aries, not only does it close the chapter finally on a lot of this Aries stuff, and we saw a lot of this Aries stuff come up with the January 6th insurrection and all the MAGA morons and mouth breathers, Jesus. So Team Hateful is about to see the door close permanently on them as a result of this eclipse. Now, the eclipse is in effect for 6 months, so what we're going to see is everything reaching critical mass and a tipping point and literally rolling over to the next stage of evolution, which is going to involve closing some major doors and chapters, in our culture, right, in our society. So Team MAGA is about to go the way of the dinosaur, finally. And that's what this 29 eclipse is going to bring us. The other thing is this eclipse is occurring in a Saturn, and under the terms of Saturn, it's coming under the auspices of Saturn, which means that Saturn in Pisces rules and dominates and controls this eclipse. Well, here's the thing. We know that the eclipse is in Aries, so it's disposited by Mars. Mars is in Cancer. And this has a lot to do with motherhood, which is why the whole thing with the Supreme Court here in the United States is going to be huge, huge. This is big. This is big. I can't stress this enough. Start visualizing better outcomes, because if you don't and you fall asleep at the wheel, the only person who's visualizing the outcome they want are the evangelists or evangelicals who literally have set this whole thing up until this point anyway. So if you're okay with that, then you probably aren't watching my channel. But if you are watching my channel, you're probably not okay with that. So this is time to put your mind to work. I'm just saying. So the eclipse is ruled by or disposited by Mars in Cancer, which rules motherhood, right? Home, hearth, motherhood, family, the womb. Okay. So that is pretty telling, and this is going to be a huge thing, the care and protection of children and mothers. Finally, the care and protection of children and mothers, right? So mothers and their health and their safety and well-being, and children and their safety and well-being, and getting these freaking, stop making excuses for these predators who prey sexually on children. My God, in Missouri, just in case you missed it, in Missouri, one of the lawmakers actually defended 12-year-olds getting married as long as their parents approved of it. And then went on to say that he knows people who were married when they were 12 and are still married because, apparently at 12, if you get married to somebody at 12, to a grown person, so much about life that you would ever leave. At that point, you've got Stockholm syndrome by the time you're 18. Anyway, I can't, why? Just why? There's plenty of grown people out there you can be with, but you have to chase children because you're so weak and inept at managing your relationships that you basically have to take children hostage. That is coming to an end. The tipping point is here. That is coming to an end. Thank God. So there is that. Now, when we look at this, because it's under the terms of Saturn, Saturn is in Pisces. And remember, Saturn is the golden rule multiplier. There are no second chances right now. So the good news is that it will force or create situations where doing the right thing, like legitimately doing the right thing, not doing the right thing because your preacher told you so, because in your heart this is the right thing, for everybody, not just you. this is going to be amplified under this eclipse. The bad news is no second chances. Saturn in Pisces is also no second chances. So again, this is the tipping point that's going to push us right into the next playing field. And the playing field, like if you believe in the Matrix, right? You know, red pill, blue pill, whatever. Whatever playing field we end up in, we're not getting out of for generations. Generations, I tell you. So get your mind right. So when you pick the right direction or the right pill or whatever it is that you know, it's alternate reality stuff. Like you're picking the one that's going to work best for not only you, but your children and your grandchildren, your little granddaughters. All right, so that's where we're at with that. This is going to be quite the tense eclipse. And we're feeling it. We're feeling that urgency, you know, the drum beats of possible war, not literal war, but possible war. We're feeling it and we're hearing it, right? And the thing about it is it doesn't have to be that way. Whenever you look at conflict, whether it's a war or like a fight with your spouse or whatever, or your kids, we're always looking at being on the precipice of change, right? Something has to give, and that's why we're in this conflict. It does not have to lead to physical war, right? But in order for that to happen, we have to participate in making these things move in directions that are less destructive. So there's that. Now, after all of this, if you're still listening, you're probably going, well, wait a minute. Well, how does this affect me in my personal life? I mean, you know, listen, all that's fine and well and good, but I still got to do stuff. So let's talk about how to apply this to your personal chart and what to look for. Okay, so the challenge for a lot of people is we don't know what time you were born. You know, our parents are like, well, I don't know, like sometime between, you know, 6 and midnight. I don't know. I was in labor. I don't remember. So, you know, it can be difficult to get a horoscope wheel with an ascendant when we don't have an accurate time of birth. But fear not, my friends, you don't actually need your time of birth to do this. What you need is just your chart. So if you can set up your chart on a free chart service online to show you what degrees and minutes the planet and signs the planets are in, that's all you need. So let's start here. So if you're looking at your chart, the first thing you're looking for are any planets at the 29th degree, so maybe even 27, 28, 29 degree. And in this particular case, specifically in the signs of Aries, Libra, Cancer, or Capricorn. If you have planets at between 27 and 29 degrees, or maybe even 0, but 27 to 29 degrees in Aries, Cancer, Libra, or Capricorn, this eclipse is going to affect you huge ways. And what this is going to do is it's going to bring major chapters to a close in your personal life. So you're going to have to say goodbye to something, but understand that by saying goodbye, you're literally saying goodbye to an old life that you have outgrown. So there are huge changes afoot that are going to be bigger and more colorful and more of what you need than you could have possibly imagined, literally coming on the other side of this. But you got to brace yourself. If you have planets at the 29th degree of Gemini, the mutables, right? Gemini, maybe not Virgo, but Gemini, Sagittarius, and Pisces. Yes, Gemini, Sagittarius, Pisces. We're going to do Virgo separately because it's a different issue. What you're going to find is 27 to 29, Gemini, Sagittarius, Pisces, not Virgo. If you have planets there at the 29th degree, what you're going to find is that this is going to be an opportunity to put some things behind you. You will be able to voluntarily participate in this process. So do good in this world. Do good, be kind, be charitable, because these things will come back to haunt you in good ways or bad ways, depending on what you do. So this is an exciting time as far as accelerating growth and moving forward and upward. So this is not necessarily a bad eclipse. If you are a Virgo, and actually Pisces too, but if you're a Virgo, this is a little bit more complicated. There's going to be some adjustments you're going to need to make that you don't want to make. You know, I mean, whoever wants to make change, they didn't decide on themselves. With this particular eclipse, there is the possibility that some health issues may come up, or basic housekeeping routines. Your routines will be tested sorely. And the demand will be to find a better way or a different way to do things. And this may come about quite unexpectedly. So keep that in mind. Also, too, there's the possibility that you guys may be feeling more sensitive to food allergens and even food allergies you didn't have before. So if you're feeling poorly or feeling weird, check your food. You may actually be having an allergy or an allergic response and not even realizing it. This is a really important time to purify, purify, purify. So looking at hygiene, food hygiene, health and physical environment hygiene, all of these things are going, if there's something that needs to be corrected, it will show up in your physical response to that. So don't blow it off as some weird thing that's going to go over. Like, really get in, as good Virgos do, and examine yourself to see what you can improve that you may be having an abreaction to. I just want to put a special note here for Pisces. For those of you who are born in Pisces, or not born in Pisces, for those of you who have planets in 27, 28, 29 degrees Pisces, this is going to be particularly irritating time for the next 6 months. There's going to be a lot of, there's going to be a lot of feeling like you're getting blindsided or people just aren't seeing you correctly. Now, if you're a Pisces, you're used to this. This is not anything new. People underestimating you and not seeing you for who you are is not new. What is new is this particular eclipse is bringing to a close, believe it or not, of you being underestimated. So you are about to step into your own, and people are about to recognize. But we've got a whole 6-month window to work with before this really plays out. So for the next 6 months with this particular eclipse, understand that you may be more sensitive and aware of how people are really underestimating you, or putting the screws to you because they really don't know who they're dealing with. It's okay. Keep doing the right thing and moving along, because when this is over, they're all going to recognize who you are. So give them quite the reason to regret, not seeing you more clearly before then. Okay, so that is mutables, that is cardinals, fixed, Leo. So if you have planets from 27 to 29 in the fixed signs, in Leo, and, well, Leo. Leo, we'll get the other two in a second. So if you have planets in Leo from 27 to 29, this will actually be a really, really good eclipse for you. So you're going to get all sorts of luck and opportunities and blessings and goodies. The universe is going to drop goodie bags in your lap. So, enjoy them and don't take them for granted, because these things don't happen very often. So the next 6 months are full of portent to get the finishing touches on stuff and to push through, the last or most concerted effort before that door finally closes. So if you have projects or ambitions that you've been really eyeing, this is the time. This is literally your last chance to make that happen. So do it. Do it. For those of you who are Scorpios, well, much like Virgo, you got some fine tuning to do over the next 6 months. Now, when I say fine tuning, I don't mean sharpening your blades, although I will say with these particular aspects, this is certainly going to be the more inspiring thought for some of you. So don't, just don't. With this eclipse for Scorpios, there's going to be some challenges to your identity and your ego and how you see yourself and, who you believe yourself to be. These are not bad things. But understand that where you're being tested and challenged is actually a wake-up call to recognize the parts of yourself where you've basically been not quite so honest with yourself about that. So this is a great time to get really, really bare bones honest and to make the course correction necessary to be the person you think you are and you could be. So these 6 months will put the wind behind your sails if you put your effort into that. So other than that, just expect a lot of people being people, which is basically being annoying. Okay. Aquarius. Again, for you guys, if you've got planets in late degrees of Aquarius, 27 to 29. Now this gets a little weird because Saturn is right there. So on the one hand, it could be a phenomenal time for you guys to do amazing stuff and really get recognition and support and all that good things. But those Aquarius planets that you have in the late Aquarius are really close to Saturn and Pisces, the golden rule multiplier, and the no second chances. So you're walking a tightrope for the next 6 months, and it's all about doing the right thing, doing it the right way, and doing the right thing. No shortcuts, no easy way out. If you can master that and you can walk that high wire without falling off or falling from grace, you've got some amazing last minute, almost miracles that are going to drop in your lap. But you're going to work for it. Make no mistake about it. You're going to work for it. Okay, and let's see, the last one, Taurus. Taurus. So for those of you who have planets from 27 to 29 Taurus, this particular eclipse, again, sits in your blind spot. So you may find that things erupt into existence that you could never have seen coming. Like literally things coming up from like the creature that coming up behind you, right, in the horror movies. And I don't mean the big monsters are coming out behind you, but I am saying that there are some big events in your life that could catch you blindsided, that are going to come up from what seems to be out of nowhere. So there's a lot of unexpected life-changing events and circumstances, and maybe even people that will be happening within the next 6 months. So my suggestion would be to be as flexible as you're capable of being, and that's going to be a real task for you guys, this flexibility thing, because it's not your nature. Like you're solid and steadworthy, and you just plod along, impervious to the buffets of circumstance. But this particular time you're going to have to be like that reed, and be flexible and be able to bend, because that's the only way you're going to get through this without losing your mind. Okay, so there's that. Now, for everybody else, or well, we just covered everybody. So the other side of this equation, of course, is that Pluto at 0 Aquarius. Here's where the new playing field is. So look in your chart. If you have planets at 29 degrees, 0 degrees, or even 2 degrees of the next sign, this is what we want to keep an eye on, because this is where Pluto is playing into this formula. So for those of you who are Aquarians, or who have Pluto in those early degrees of Aquarius, or at the very last degree of Capricorn, this is going to be quite the yikes. Jesus, I don't even have a good way to describe this. It's just going to be a yikes for the next 6 months. Big, major evolutionary demands are going to be placed on you. Not all of them are going to be easy. Well, none of them are going to be easy ones, but not all of them are going to be happy ones. But they're not all bad either. At this particular time, you're going to have to say goodbye to some big, what you used to think were reliable metastructures and ideologies and ways of thinking and being in your life. And you're going to have to make room for a whole new way of seeing the world and yourself. So I don't know what your philosophies are, or your outlook on the world, or what your belief systems are, but you are going to be required, whether you want to or not, you're going to be required to make some changes and to level up to a whole new way of doing, seeing, and being. Yeah. Woohoo! For those of you who are Pisces, this also, it's not so easy for you as well. So if you have planets in early degrees Pisces, from like 2 degrees Pisces to 6 degrees Pisces, Saturn has been all over that planet. You've been feeling Saturn for a couple months now. With this Pluto at 0 Aquarius as part of this eclipse pattern, and that Saturn sitting all over those 2 to 6 degree Pisces planets you carry, well, I just golden rule multiplier. So this is a very, very important time to turn the other cheek, to rise above it, to take the high road, to do all the things that you probably aren't going to want to do, because this eclipse is going to make us all feisty as all get out. You're going to have to find ways to take the higher road in uncomfortable or really unfair situations. Remember, it's only 6 months, and when you get through this and the other side, all your rewards are coming in for, or rather in equal measure, to the efforts you've put in now to being the better person in situations. So do the right thing, do good things, do the right thing, take the higher road, try to be the better person. Don't get seduced into pettiness with everybody else. Get out of the crab pot. And hang in there. It's 6 months, but it's 6 months of laying groundwork. So we have reached the tipping point, and you, my friends, have the opportunity to really finally get your due in life. Okay. I have to interrupt real quick because I made an error as we move forward. So here's the deal. In the next section where we talk about Pluto at 0 Aquarius, now this is going to impact you personally, for every sign except Pisces, Where you hear me say 2 to 6 degrees of that sign, it's actually 0 to 4 degrees. I made a mistake, because I was thinking about, anyway. So for Pisces, 2 to 6 degrees applies in the discussion we're having about that. But for every other sign that's not Pisces, the degree you're looking for is 0 to 4 degrees. So where you hear me say 2 to 6 degrees, Scorpio, Cancer, whatever, it's actually 0 to 4. Sorry about that. Okay, so Aries, for you guys, if you have planets in the early degrees of Aries, 2 to 6 degrees Aries, this is going to be a good time. This is not going to be a bad time. I mean, there are some things you're going to have to let go of, obviously, because you're taking this eclipse in your sign. But you are actually poised and ready, and there's a part of you can feel it. You can feel it inside yourself. There's a part of you that is ready to go do something bigger and better and to literally seek out change because it's time, right? So for you guys, with those early degrees Aries planets, if you've been waiting for the right time to make a move, this is it. This is it. Okay, Taurus. So for those of you who have planets at 2 to 6 Taurus, this is not going to be your best day. So Pluto will be squaring those Taurus planets wherever they may lie and whatever they may represent, and Pluto will force substantial rehabilitation of whatever that planetary function is. So for instance, if Pluto is squaring your moon at 2 to 6 Taurus, well, you need a time worth to know that. Let me pick something else. Venus. So let's say Venus at between 2 and 6 degrees Taurus. If Pluto is squaring that right now and you're taking this, Pluto is going to force you to make major reformations and revisions to your value systems and your budget and your money and how you handle these things, right? You're literally going to have to start re-examining the things you place the most value on and whether it's actually cost effective in terms of money and time and effort to maintain it and fix it. You may find things are getting ripped away from you that would seem incredibly costly, expensive. But these are things that literally they're just making space for other things. Remember, we are entering a whole new playing field. This is the tipping point. So whatever you're losing during this time, it's necessary to make way for something that is equally large and important and better for you. If you are a Gemini, this is your day. So Venus is around your planets at 2 to 6 Gemini. Pluto is trining that. You are going to be like the most popular kid at the prom. So don't abuse your popularity. So if you're looking for assistance or support or people to give you some understanding as you work your way through some sticky or complicated situations, then you haven't been getting a lot of support prior to now, this is the time when you'll actually be able to make some headway and really make and establish a foundation or, literally for moving forward in your life in ways that are going to benefit you better and everyone around you. And in ways that are supported by the people around you. So if you needed to make changes in your relationships or even have relationships, this is the time. These next 6 months are the time, and it's going to be much easier for you. So take advantage of it. If you're a Cancer, so the challenge right now is the eclipse is disposited by Mars, which is in Cancer, and and the eclipse is squaring your sign of Cancer or any planets you might have in Cancer. If you have planets at 2 to 6 degrees Cancer, right, Pluto will be making a quincunx and inconjunct to those planets, and that's not fun. It's not fun. So when this happens, typically we suffer some losses, which Cancers never want to hear about. But the other thing is that we also have the ability to go in and really rehabilitate or clean up some messes. So we can discover areas where there is rot and decay in our life or our psyche. And this is a great time for us to get in, because remember, Mars is there in your sign. This is a great time to get in and excavate and drill and get that rot out of there. Kind of like finding cavities and cleaning them out, so you can fill the cavity and stop the rot. So this is a great time for you to do exactly that in all areas of your life. So it's not bad, but it's not exciting. It's going to be wildly annoying, irritating, unless you actively take advantage of this energy and start going in on an excavation mission to find where things are rotting, and corrupted and no good, and actively work on getting them out of your life so you can seal up the holes, and prevent it from getting worse. Just saying. If you're a Leo, Leo. Oh my gosh. If you have planets between 2 and 6 degrees Leo, Pluto is opposing those planets, and Pluto is going to give you such a tango to dance to. Oh my God. There is literally no way to describe a Pluto transit across personal planets except that just you never feel ready for it. You never feel equipped or adequately able to handle it, and you will get through it. You will get through it, and you'll have the tattoos to show for it, even if you don't remember what happened. So, right now, this is a time of profound transformation for you. So, whichever planet that it is hitting and whatever it represents, this is the time for you to go in and make dramatic transformations that could become incredibly beautiful things, right? Like the tattoo you don't remember getting from that wild, weekend away, whatever. And that's the only thing you remember is waking up with a tattoo. But it's a nice tattoo. So this is a great time to get in and do some transformative work, really get in and do the deep healing. You're going to be amazed at what you end up with when this is over. And it'll be good. It will be good. Yay, tattoos. Okay, if you're a Virgo, this time period with Pluto at 0 Aquarius, if you've got planets at 2 to 6 Virgo, well, there have been easier times. So you take a quincunx, unfortunately. You take a quincunx from Pluto, but also if you have other planets in late Virgo, you're also taking the quincunx from the eclipse. So blah, blah, blah. With this particular eclipse, Pluto quincunxing early degree Virgo planets. But you know what? We don't even need to tell you what's going to happen because you're going to know instinctively. One of the beauties of this particular combination is you're going to instinctively know what you need to do because it's something that's been building for a very long time, and you just need to get around to it. And you're going to know. And it will be awesome, and you'll be on top of it. Just understand that your nerves, your radar may be a little more hypersensitive than usual. So try not to bite people's heads off when they're trying to help. Even if they're helping badly, they are still trying to help. Libra, this is actually a really good time for you if you have planets between 2 and 6 degrees Libra. Pluto will be a tremendous assistance in helping you get what you need to get stuff done and acquire what you need in life. So this is a great time for you to move forward in stealthy ways. To get stuff happening and get the ball rolling. So we got nothing bad to report here. Just, do good in the world. Okay? Do good. Do good things. Scorpio. If you have planets between 2 and 6 degrees Scorpio, you should know. So remember when we were talking about the eclipse in Aries and late degree Scorpio planets and needing to be flexible like a willow? If I didn't say that, I should have included it. Pluto, which is your ruler, this is your planet, baby, squaring your planets, if you have them, at between 2 and 6 Scorpio, means that this is going to be a double dose of everything that makes you the Scorpio that you are. So Scorpios are known for pushing themselves to their limit and seeing how far and how long and how bad things can get before they break. And then, of course, saving themselves in the 11th hour, like the dramatic superhero or anti-hero that you are. And this is no exception. So for the next 6 months, you can find yourself in positions where if you have the planets at this degrees, whatever those matters are ruled by that planet, you can find yourself literally backed into a corner or pushed against the wall, cornered, as it were. And it's going to force you to pull heavily from deep within yourself to extricate yourself from these situations and to make a bad situation good. You can do this, and you can do this because this is who you are. Because when you're bored, when things are going too well, you create situations to do this. Listen, we know who you are. So for the next 6 months, this is going to be like a jungle gym of activity for you, testing you to see just how good and how badass you really are. So make that magic mojo and that genius of yours work. And don't complain, because at the end of the day, honey, we all know you did this to yourself. Okay, Sagittarius, this is going to be a great time for you. I've got nothing bad to say. So With its Pluto sextiling your planets at 2 to 6 Sagittarius, you're actually going to get a lot of support and a lot of assistance. Venus will be opposing those planets, um, which will give you even more love and support and popularity. You and Geminis are really having a good time at this point. So do good things with all of this energy that you're going to get and all the support and all this wind behind your sails. Do good things and try to be of service to something other than the party train and your ambitions. If you do good things in this world, you're going to find that the rewards and stuff that you get back are going to multiply immensely. So make that work for you. Do good in this world for other people and watch it multiply and come back to you, literally. Because remember, we're still under this eclipse, and this eclipse is in the terms of Saturn, and Saturn is in Pisces, and this is the golden rule multiplier. Just saying. Just saying. Okay. Capricorn. Pluto is, if you have planets between 2 and 6 Capricorn, Pluto is semi-sextile, and it's in an irritating aspect to those planets. So again, operating from a blind spot, you're going to be dealing with a lot of stuff that the Pisces are dealing with, where, you know, things just aren't as obvious as they could be, and may even blindside you, come out of left field. But there's no need to panic. I am going to say, for the record, that for the next 6 months, you know, you've had better times in life. This is not going to be one of those times. So adjust your sails accordingly on your trajectory and do any course corrections you need. Plan, buy insurance. You know, be prepared for things you don't like or want happening frequently through the next 6 months. Everybody goes through this. Everybody goes through this. This just happens to be your eclipse with all this stuff happening with Pluto there. If you can get through this, when you get to the other side of this 6-month window with this particular eclipse, you're going to find that you're in a much better position, and you're stronger and better and much more shiny, polished, you know, on the inside spiritually for your efforts. But if you don't, you're just going to be an irritated, grumpy old goat, you know, with nothing to show for anything. And people will think of you as a grumpy old goat even after that, and not in a cute way either. Not in a cute, my grandpa's a grumpy old goat and we love him. No, this is going to be, oh, that grumpy old goat. Are they here again? You don't want to be that person. So as best you can, roll with the punches. The next 6 months are going to be bumpy. You can get through it, but you got to get through it with your mind in the right place. And that brings us back to Aquarius. And I think we started with Aquarius. I'm sure we start with Aquarius. You keep better notes. Okay, so that has been my take on the eclipse. Do with it what you will. I'm just saying. And remember, folks, as a general universal thing, the good news in this eclipse is that it is bringing the old guard, the old way of doing things, the dinosaurs, to their knees. This is the final dying cries, right, as they're laying there knowing that it's over, game over. So that is exciting. That is exciting. However, we've still got some loose ends we need to tie up. Remember, if you've ever said or agreed that your mind creates reality, and your thoughts and visualization and meditation, any of that, don't be a hypocrite. Now's the time to put it in action and make sure we're heading in the right direction, because those loose ends that need to be tied up will get tied up under this eclipse. Once they're in place, we're looking at living with this for generations. So unless you're really, really interested in working for pennies on the dollar, like people in very poor countries do, China, India, Mexico, right? Pennies on the dollar, with no respect for your wages and no ability to get out of bad relationships, right? And having your children either working, you know, before they're 18 because there's no labor laws to protect them, or getting married off to nasty old men because there's no marriage laws to protect them, you know, and blah, 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 having to carry babies that are dying inside you to full terms. They won't let you take the baby out because the baby's not going to survive anyway. Oh, dear God in heaven. If you're a woman, especially, this is the time when you really need to pull your head out of your hat and pay attention and get your mind focused, laser focused on getting through to the other side in a way that's supportive of women, okay, and females. So, you know, I'm thinking, I could be wrong, but I'm thinking, because MAGA seems to be very active with this Aries, which makes sense, right? It's very infantile thinking. You know, it's not very sophisticated. It's all black or white, us and them sort of stuff. You know, mine. With a 29-degree eclipse, it's literally bringing that whole cadre of, zombies to their knees. So finally, we're going to see the end of that nonsense globally, that whole mentality. But we got a 6-month window to work through. And remember, this is the tipping point. This is the tipping point. So that's the good news. That is the good news. The bad news is that, well, depending on which team you're playing for, whether you're playing for Team Hateful or Team Progress, this may not be the happiest of times. You may have to say goodbye to a lot of sacred cows that you've been, holding dearly to yourself that just, were never meant to last. So, and again, we're not out of the woods yet. So for those of you here in the US, we've got the whole abortion ruling coming. And I promise you, this is literally not only the tipping point, but the tip of the iceberg. So if you don't actively get involved and start shaping and shifting the direction of this decision with your mind, you're going to let these crazy wackadoodle evangelicals run the ship, because that's all they're focusing on is this one thing, because they have no freaking lives or happiness or anything else in their life to think about. They're all about controlling women and making us miserable and making everything our fault. Just saying. Okay, so anyway, that's it. Hope you guys have a great day. This is entirely too long a video already, so hopefully this helped. Bye. Oh, if you liked this video, please give me feedback and hit the like button. If you'd like to get more notifications of videos coming up, absolutely hit the subscribe button. And if you know somebody who might benefit from any of the information in here, absolutely share it with them. And we'll talk to you guys later.